Hey everyone, welcome to the video. I'm Amy and I post new videos every week. Today's video is all about the brand new Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. Today's video is going to be a 3-day foundation wear test on this bad boy here. I've worn this over the past week and I'm going to show you wear tests and all of that good stuff with details on how it works best, my skin type, and all of that. So if that sounds like something you're into, go ahead and like this video so I know you like it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, I'm pulling this up on my phone here so that I can read a little bit about it. I always like to do that in the beginning, and I'm going to overlay some swatches while I do this. So, this is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Medium Coverage Liquid Foundation with Hyaluronic Acid. I have the shade 2 Neutral. It is marketed as long-wearing, natural finish, best for dry, combo, normal skin, medium coverage, hyaluronic acid, cruelty-free. It is a 16-hour natural glow foundation with buildable medium coverage to hydrate, smooth, blur pores, and brighten skin. And overall, it's kind of claiming to have skincare benefits there, like long-term skincare benefits as well. So it does come in, I believe, 30 shades. It might have more shades than that. I'm looking at Sephora and not the Charlotte Tilbury website, and I know that sometimes Sephora doesn't carry all the shades, but I will go ahead and put up a little shot of what all the shades are so you can get an idea for that. I have tried not to watch any reviews on this or anything. I have seen it come across my Instagram feed a few times, people looking at it lovingly, so I do have that iteration influence going on, but I haven't watched any kind of reviews or anything, so I haven't seen anyone with dark skin talk about the shade range yet. I'm paler than a sheet of paper, like it's very hard for me to get the difference between the background and my skin. So I cannot, in good conscience, be the one to make the decision on whether or not that's a good shade range. Was there a shade for me? Yes. I do think that the shade that I got is probably a little bit deep and I could have been safe getting number 1, the lightest one. But I normally tend to go to something a little bit deeper because I feel like it just makes me look a little bit more alive. I'd rather look like half a shade deeper than I am than ever be half a shade lighter or even a quarter of a shade lighter than I actually am, you know? I picked this up actually before its actual launch date. Let me go ahead and, I didn't even say like the price. I'm sure I put it on screen. I think it's $44. Okay. $44 USD. I did pick this up before the official launch day because someone posted on Instagram, I don't remember who it was, about how Space NK had the like before it launched kind of sale situation, and I've never purchased anything from them, so I got like a 10 or 15% off of buying this, and then I used that 10 or 15% to put towards expedited shipping. It got here really quickly. It was packed really well. I had nothing but good things about Space NK. I would definitely purchase from them again in the future. So I probably ended up spending the $55 plus $5.99 shipping that I would have paid in the US anyway, but I got it literally in the mail the day that it launched in the US on Charlotte's website. So gave me a little bit more time to live with this before I could put out this video, which was my whole goal. If you're familiar with my 3-day foundation wear test, normally this is the time where I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna apply it and we're gonna do my first impressions. I did do my first impressions already over on my Instagram, so I'm gonna overlay this here and I'm gonna talk to you about like how I applied it, talk about what it looks like. So when I very first applied it, I did try it both with the sponge and with a brush. Now this is a high water content kind of foundation, so it does soak into your sponge and or make your brush wet. So I like to have a separate like foundation brush for foundations like this so that I'm not soaking up my other foundation brushes if I want to use them and making them like super soggy, you know? But I did like it both ways. I personally am just a sponge girl. I have been finding though while using this that I am placing it on and kind of spreading it out with the brush and then going over it with the sponge, just to help try to save some of the product there because it is quite an expensive foundation. The first thing I noticed right away was that this was quite sheer. So there's a moment where you can see me applying it with the brush and it was quite sheer. At the end of my application, I did like layer it up so that I could get to that medium coverage. Now, this states that it is a medium buildable foundation, but I would consider it buildable to medium. I do not think you could get any further than medium with this. So if you were looking for full coverage, I don't think this would be the one for you. So my first day, I just put it right on top of my sunscreen. I didn't put any kind of primer down and I didn't use anything special. I did lightly set it with this Charlotte Tilbury powder. Pretty much all over because this is quite a dewy finish. It does have quite a emollient juiciness to it, you know? So then I'm going to show you the end of day 1. The beginning of day 2. The end of day 2. The beginning of day 3, and the end of day 3. All right, so now that we've got all the wear tests out of the way and the little bit of application out of the way and my kind of like first thoughts upon applying this, let's talk about my final thoughts, okay? I don't think that it is a medium buildable. I think, like I said in the beginning, that it is buildable to medium. I can't imagine going any further and layering it up. I just feel like it's way too dewy to really layer on itself any further. You know, I can't imagine doing that unless you want to do something ridiculous like set your whole face and then apply more, which if you want to do that, go ahead, but I wouldn't recommend doing that with a $50 foundation, $45 foundation, whatever. You know, I think that's a little much for this. I would rather just go ahead and get something that has a little bit more coverage if that's what you're looking for. This color, like I said, it is a little bit dark, but you can see my chest here, and I think it looks okay. Like, it doesn't look like super orange, super yellow. I don't have to blend it down my whole neck. Like, I just go to like the edge of my chin, you know, and I'm like, I feel fine with this. But if you like look at it, it is just like a hair, I think maybe too yellow, honestly, right? Can you see how it's a little tinge of warmth to it that my face just doesn't have? But it is, like I said, that sheer buildable situation to where it does let your skin color shine through in a way that I think helps it be a little bit more flexible in the shades. Now, do I think I would be able to use shade 5? No, I don't think I'd be able to use shade 5. I think 3 at the most, like in the summer if I get tan, you know? So I don't think it's like super spreadable across the ranges. I know a lot of tinted moisturizers try to play that up. I did find that this, because it is a really glowy foundation, it does wear off. I don't know where they're getting 16-hour wear. I think I wore it like 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours-ish, something like that. I put the hours on those. If you missed that, you can scroll back. And I noted, so on the first day, I wore it just on sunscreen, lightly powdered it with my pressed setting powder. The second day, just on my sunscreen, and I pressed in a loose powder. Now, that one did look the most matte, and it didn't really help it to last, honestly, too much longer. It just started looking like, instead of the first day where it started to kind of like fade away around my mouth and my chin and my nose, like any normal foundation would, on the day that I powdered, it just looked a little bit cakier in those areas where it was wearing off. So depending on your skin type, I think you could set this with a loose powder if you wanted to, but it is not going to look any better because of it, is kind of what I'm getting at. I do think that the best way that it looked was yet again with my e.l.f. primer, that mint melt primer. I need to try the grip one that they just released because I think that's supposed to be like in their line for good, whereas the mint melt was just part of the mint melt collection, so it'll probably go away. So I need to try that one and see if it works just as well for me, but it really does help any little bit of like dryness or where the foundation just won't go into the grooves of my nose or anything like that. It really helps foundation go there. So that is what I'm wearing today, as I have the e.l.f. Mint Melt underneath this Charlotte Tilbury foundation, and then I did lightly set again with my Charlotte Tilbury powder. Now today I didn't set really the whole face. I set like the center of my face and a little bit in my jawline. So like my cheeks still definitely have a lot of the glow, but as you can see, I don't think I look, I'm gonna come up a little bit, I don't think I look matte or in any way, shape, or form, even though I've kind of set a little bit of my face. So the Mint Melt primer, honestly, I cannot recommend it enough if you have dry skin or your nose just in general doesn't like to hold on to stuff. It really helps me with foundation in that way. So that is my favorite way to wear it. But overall, I think it is a beautiful foundation. As you can see on my skin, it looks very like creamy and healthy and plump. I do think it looks beautiful on the skin. You get 1 fluid ounce just like any standard, but I just feel like because I build this one up, I don't wear it sheerly, right? I build this one up, so I do 2 layers of this basically, and I use my sponge. I feel like I'm gonna go through this very quickly, which I don't love about it. So, I mean, it depends on what your gives and takes are with any foundation and spending your money, you know? So, do I think this is a beautiful foundation? I do. I personally, it fits in within my wants and needs from a foundation, from my skin's perspective, as well as like a finish perspective. I think it's beautiful on the skin. It lasts really well. And when it wears, I don't feel like it looks like, there have been foundations where like when my eyes water, it literally like wipes a clean line off my face. Whereas this, like, it stays, but it wears throughout the day in a very even and like not overly noticeable way. But I don't know if I would call it 16-hour wear because of how dewy it is on the face. I cannot imagine being able to get 16 hours of wear, of what I would call wear. I would think this is like an 8-hour max kind of situation from my point of view, my opinion, okay? Those are my final thoughts on this foundation after a week of use. I do think that there are, I do think it's really good, but I don't know, because of that usage, I feel like I'm going to use this up a lot quicker than I would other foundations in my collection, which makes me a little bit nervous. But for the first foundation from Charlotte Tilbury that I've ever tried, I am very, very happy. So I'm going to give you another little close-up kind of what it looks like right now, after I've been talking for a while. And let me try to get you can still see I have like a healing acne right here. Like, you can see my skin through it, but it still looks very like plumping and perfected, you know? So I would call this like a good medium. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out so much. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!